AIS Play รวมความบันเทิงคุณภาพเปิดความสนุกทุกที่ทุกเวลา
ส่งต่อความมั่นใจสู้ไปด้วยกันนะครับ
Well, let's take a look here at the conditions, and I must say it is very, very warm and sticky. 31 degrees, 6:30 in the evening here local time. Humidity is high. And welcome. Well, Patrick Winterton, Rob Walker and myself, Martin Gillingham, will be taking you through the action over the course of the next couple of hours. Another tremendous evening of competition is in front of us. And we do get underway with the action straight away. It's our first big final. It is the men's 110-metre hurdles.
Well, what a race we have in prospect with our 8 finalists. Only a quarter of a second separating all those 8 men in the semi-finals. We're going to see a sub 13.5 to win. It's highly likely with such a competitive field. China have won the last 8 Asian Games in this event. Lu Xiang, of course, was the dominant figure 2002, 2006 and again in 2010. He took the top prize. And Zi Weng taking it last time round in 2014. And Lu Xiang with the record at 13.09. Zheng Zhangzhuang made the Diamond League final in Shanghai, 13.78 in qualifying. Kim Byung-jun, 6'3". That stride could be handy. Did a PB in the semi-final. Hamad Ammawalad from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, 4th 4 years ago. How we'd love to put that right. Takayama in 4. Switch from baseball to hurdles. And he's been hugely successful. Chen Karu, 24-year-old, only made the heats in the last Asian Games. 13.63 suggests that he could do something here tonight. Zi Wenyun, the defending champion, he's a big man at 6'3", 13.64 in the qualifying. Kanai Toi, the fastest man this year in this field, with a time of 13.36. And Yang Weiting on the outside from Chinese Taipei, a little slower than the rest. He was the slowest in qualifying. Let's hope for his sake he was saving something for the big final. Zheng in 1, Kim in 2, 3 is Ammawalad, and next door to him Takayama of Japan, Chen of Chinese Taipei in 5. We have China's Zi in 6, Kanai in 7, and in 8 is Yang Weitung. 2 Chinese, 2 Japanese, 2 athletes from Chinese Taipei, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Korean Republic represented. Who is first to rise? It's lane 3. Ammawalad has had an absolutely sensational start and Chen is after him. Ammawalad still with a fraction of a lead. Zi is starting to look good in the closing stages, and here, wonderful finish from Zi, just pipping Chen on the line. Ammawalad without a doubt the best start. And there is your winner. Zi Wenyun, the defending champion, has successfully retained the title won 4 years ago. He must have been a little bit worried. The first 50 metres were all about Ahmed Ammawalad. And then it was Chen's turn to lead in lane 5. And then in the closing stages, Zi Wenyun coming through, congratulated by his teammate Zheng. What a run. What a run. What a way to start the evening.
And that time
athletics
is very, very fast indeed. Ji, there's no doubt he was slowest away there, over on the far side, just in front, and then you can see Chen coming through in the blue vest, but all along, Ji of China was bearing down on them, and it wasn't really until over that second flight of hurdles. You can see 3 from the right there. Ammawalad. At this point, he had to have half a metre. Then you can see Chen coming through in the blue vest. But the momentum We're starting to come with Wee here. And I reckon he got in front at about 105 metres, I should say. I'll get there eventually. And they're all straining, aren't they? But at this point, at 105 metres, Xi is just getting a sense that he is there. Not quite the slowest away, but certainly 7th of 8. But he's a very crisp hurdler, is the Chinese, and that sequence of Chinese wins in this event continues. Well, it really has been China's event.
Well, we thought he may have to go sub 13.5, and he did. 13.34 to finish ahead of Chen. And then Sunya Takayama, who looked very good in qualifying, comes away with a bronze medal. And Al-Mawalad, who was sensational over the first 3 or 4 flights, missing out, just tying up in the closing stages. But I must say, Xi's effort was phenomenal. You could see every sinew, every ligament running down the front of his neck from the moment he left the blocks. I'm not sure he took a breath from start to finish. That is what it feels like to defend a title at the Asian Games. So 3 Chinese taking the last, or 2 Chinese taking the last 5 titles here at the Asian Games. Of course, Lui Jiang 3 times, and now Xi Wen for 2 successive Asian Games. And of course, we saw him in the semi-final of the Olympics. Actually injured his knee in USA this year, so he's obviously recovered from that fairly successfully. Always a little bit of a worry. Achilles tendon, knee injuries can keep reoccurring, but he's done a good job, the physio's done a good job, and he is on tip-top form. 13.37.
And on a sticky old night, that was a pretty quick time. The bar is hung very high. The barrier is high, if you know what I mean. When you look here at the Asian Games records and the continental record, Liu Jiang was an Olympic champion, don't forget, go back to 2004. So the Games record, 13.09, which is probably about 2 metres faster than he ran here, which is a bit of a margin. But the issue was there, coming through as he did, with that very slow departure from the blocks and taking his time to get going over the first couple of flights. So he gave men here about a metre start. And there must have been a period when he perhaps feared that that finish line would come a bit too soon. But in the end, at 105 metres, he finally got the scarlet vest there of China in front. And he was running away from the field, dare I say, at that point. There was a good run there from Chen of Chinese Taipei in the middle in lane 5. Setting a lifetime best for him. That moves him closer and closer to that world-class bracket.
Yeah, it'd be nice to know what he was thinking over the first 4 flights, because the worst thing you can do as a 110 hurdler is to panic. Any tension running through the body can disrupt the rhythm, but that was beautiful to watch. Now back to the heptathlon, and just a reminder, we started off with the 100 hurdles for the women's heptathlon, as is the way, and we saw a fantastic high jump contest as well. And now on to the shot put, and already Barman establishing a decent lead, having won herself 1,003 points in the high jump, and overhauling Wang Yingling of China, who is one of the 2 favourites here. I think it's hard at this stage to write off Voronina, who is currently down in 5th place, having had a very sluggish hurdles event earlier on. She did okay in the high jump, but those 2 are expected to battle it out in the latter stages of this competition. These athletes just a little too far off the mark to be a threat. What have we got? Some 250 points between 1st and 11th. There's the tape on Barman. She was having real problems. Still no news on what the injury is. but it's been pink. We've tried a little bit of green. Now it's predominantly blue, and I think we're just hearing, well, there is a lot of swilling there. What are the... Well, we can only speculate, can't we?
And that's going to create a problem here. Because when she has that high elbow with the shot, she's going to have to tuck it under the right-hand side there of her chin.
Unless she's left-handed.
Unless she's left-handed, which...
I'm not sure she is. There's a sign of chalk. Well, it's nice to see the athletes hanging around to watch other events. And all those athletes who aren't from Indonesia need some support. The crowds have been fairly sparse, starting to fill up in the stadium, but if the stadium is 1/8 full, I would be surprised. It is a huge stadium.
Yeah, you can almost feel a discomfort, can't you? You can see her there just...
Well, in the high jump, Martin, of course, when she landed, her knee was getting perilously close to the chin as she doubled over, and she is a brilliant high jump. Very, very flexible. She did not hold back, despite the fact that she was plainly in agony every time she landed on the back of her neck. And so all credit to her for continuing in the contest. There was a stage where we thought she might withdraw, but the Asian Games are a big occasion, and it's going to take more than whatever the injury is to take her out of it. Best high jumper in this field. Well, we have to look at, well, Barman on the high jump, obviously. On the shot put, I think we have to expect Voronova to make some ground. She's capable of just about 14 meters. And if she can do that, it will put a little bit of pressure on Wang. Wang is certainly faster at the 200. She's got a much better long jump than Voronova. And then, of course, it will come down to the javelin and the 800 meters. And what's quite refreshing is there's only a couple of seconds between the PBs of all the leading athletes in that 800 meters. So if we have as tight a competition as we had in the men's event, that should be a cracking race. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and this is an event which Asia does have pretty decent history in. The Asian record held by Garda Shua, who won Syria's first and so far only Olympic gold medal back in Atlanta 22 years ago. And Shua, well, she's a 6,942 point multi-eventer. She set that at the famous Gotsis multi-event meeting, which happens every May in Austria. And if you look at the performers here, they're almost 1,000 points down on the Shua best, so that is a huge margin. Just to give you some idea at the moment of what Swapna Barman's lead is when you convert it into distance in the shot. It's something like 60 centimeters. That is what those 41 points are worth. That is the 41 points that she has over Wang there in second place. So here is Purnima Hembram of India. Started off with 13.85 in the highs and then a 173 high jump. Lost a bit of ground on some of her rivals there. She's a very tall athlete. Decent enough shift there across the circle. Well, I think the way those tapes have been drawn there across the sector are, dare I say, a little bit optimistic, because the majority of the putters here are going to be going out to somewhere between about 10 and maybe 14 meters. So that is 11 meters and 25 centimeters. So to give you some idea of what that converts to, that's worth 612 points.
Second put will be Meg Hemphill from Japan. Disappointment in the high jump. Failed at 164, lost a lot of ground there. And she should be closing in on the 12-meter mark if she gets it right. And the other problem with the tapes being so far down the landing zone is that we can't get anywhere near estimating the distance accurately. She's got a PB of 11.86. Tonight would be the night to improve on that, and 11.50 might suggest that she's in the mood. Now, the potential champion, Wang Qingling. She is the only one in the field who's been over 6,000 points. Lying in second place at the moment, behind Swapna Barman, but she's superior to Barman in almost all the 5 remaining events. And 11.97 to open her account.
So 2 semi-finals of the women's 200 metres. And there you can see the lineup, and it includes Edidiong Odiong of Bahrain, the winner of the 100 metres, and if anything, she's a better 200-metre runner. So we'll go through the lineup here from the outside. This is Kim Min-ji of Korea. Inside her, Ratnayake of Sri Lanka. Still a youngster, just 22. Here is the silver medalist from the 100 metres, Dute Chand of India. Ran a brilliant run in that 100 metres, and she looked pretty good in qualifying for this semi-final. Kong Ling Wei of China. 23.37 her lifetime best. She was a gold in the sprint relay 4 years ago. So Thi Quach of Vietnam. So here is Edidiong Odiong, world junior champion at this distance 2 years ago. Anna Bulanova of Kyrgyzstan is in lane 2, and on the inside for Singapore it's Veronica Pereira. So the qualification criteria from here to the final, the first 3 plus 2 fast losers over those 2 heats. Odiong really coasted to qualification this morning. She is capable of running 22.74, which puts her in a different class altogether to her rivals here. She ran that at the Olympic Games in Rio 2 years ago. She earned that qualification as a consequence of winning that World Junior title in 2016. But she was a splendid winner of the 100, coming through very late in the race. So let's see how much Odiong commits herself here, and she's certainly flown well out of the block. She's already after Quach on her outside, the Vietnamese. Kong of China moving strongly in the middle. Look at Dute Chand as well. These 3 are going to be the automatic qualifiers. Odiong's going to take it. Chand racing it out, and even at the end, maybe Chand got there. Kong was winding down from 50 out. But you have to say Edidiong Odiong looked well in control, even if, and it might have happened, she didn't actually cross the line in front. It's the nature of Dute Chand. Heats, semis or finals, she treats them very much the same. This woman here, if I were you, wait until we get to the final. She will deliver a 100% effort when she gets there, but that's not the way of Dute Chand. She has been given the victory, 23 dead. She enjoys the track and field, has had to fight for her status all the way to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, you may recall. So she takes advantage and enjoys every competitive opportunity she gets. And she was training by about 2 or 3 meters here, Patrick.
I thought Odiong looked very composed. She ran a really good bend and then just got into cruise mode. Chan, quite the opposite. Had work to do coming off the bend, and she did every bit of it. And I think a psychological boost for Shand. And Odiong, I don't think, will be panicking at this stage. Now she starts to relax. You can see from the face, beautifully poised. And 160, Hong Lingwei of China. Also a respectable performance, but it would have to be a major turnaround for her to get the better of either Shand or Odiong in the final.
So Dute Shan takes it by 1/100th of a second. That really is an academic detail. Kong Lingwei of China in third. Lifetime best for her, it says there, 23.32, and she wasn't really putting her foot flat to the floor.
So Swapna Barman, the leader of the women's heptathlon, and everyone interested to see how the injury to her jaw is going to affect the shot put. Well, she's given it everything, and that's not a bad effort at all. And if she can beat Wang Qingling in the shot put, might put a bit of pressure on the Chinese athlete. Barman's got a best of 12.34. And that looks pretty good. It is good. She's got herself a PB, 12.69. What a moment to do that.
Well, here you can see Katerina Voronina, defending champion. Almost 200 points behind the leader coming into this discipline. Well, that doesn't look dissimilar to Barman's first effort. So she was looking to eat into that advantage of the Indian athlete. Well, she's probably not going to have done it here. She will have 2 more efforts, of course.
13.55, her PB.
Well, that's measured at 12 meters 57, so 699 points for Voronina.
So heat 2 for the, or semi-final 2, I should say, for the women's 200 meters. And Hima Das in lane 1 came through as one of the lucky losers. Finished 4th in a heat with a time of 23.47. But it's a stacked heat, this one. Lanes 3, 4, 5 and 6. Hard to separate them. Sharipova, who made the final of the 100, looking good. She ran 23.31 a PB this morning. Al-Khaldi, who has had a very, very successful career. Let's go through the athletes. Lee on the outside. Now she's running 3 relays here. There's a mixed relay in these championships. Everyone looking forward to that. Not of the Philippines in lane 7. 23.45 this morning. The defending champion, Olga Safronova, 23.44 this morning. And her husband actually here competing in the long jump. Wei Yongli, silver in the 200 4 years ago. She's already lost her 100-meter title this year. Can she make up for that in the 200? Al-Khaldi in lane 4. 4th in the 100. Sharipova from Uzbekistan also made the 100-meter final, finished 7th. Lee Tushin. And she won the Southeast Asian Games over 100 and 200. And then on the inside, Hima Das, who, as I said, was 4th in her heat. So Lots of work, lots of improvement needed if she's going to keep up with the likes of Safronova. Sharapova in 3. Akaldi 4. Wei in 5. Bronze medalist in the 100 metres. And Safronova in 6. Those are the favourites. Sharapova needs a very good start. Her father, an excellent sprinter. Dare say he's watching on. Das in 1. Lee 2. Sharapova 3. Akaldi 4. Wei in 5. Safronova 6. And we have a full start. Not the first one of the day.
Well, it was right on the inside lane. It's Hima Das, and she was away so early. That is going to be a disqualification. Really, that's indiscipline. It wasn't even close. Look at it. You're looking on the wide left-hand side, top left-hand corner. Look at that. So Das will be shown a red card here. 8 women is about to become 7 in this first semi-final.
Well, we had a disqualification this morning. Slightly controversial circumstances. We thought the athlete was just standing up, but a little too aggressively, rather than raising the hand. And there can be no doubt. Das has gone. What a disappointing end to her championships. Yeah, it hurts. It's a hard world. And no leniency being shown, whether it's a full start, whether you put a foot on the inside of the track. They are sticking rigidly to the rules. It's the best way, I guess. Then no one can argue with it. Here we go, at the second time of asking. The second semi-final of the women's 200 metres. That's Sharapova again. 23.31. She had the fastest time in the heats. Don't read too much into that. Wei, Safronova in 5 and 6. Both capable of going quicker. Successfully, oh no, we have a...
Well, this is going to be interesting because certainly according to my eye, I couldn't see much. However, we will need another look. Any movements?
Keep an eye on Sharapova in 3, in 3. Well, that's Safronova, who was in lane 6. And close to the camera, Sharapova, who's in lane 3. Keeping her head down, not wanting to look at any of the officials. Well, lane 4 looked to me to be away a little bit before Sharapova. They're all nervous because no one knows who it was. Well, that is Akaldi from lane 4. Lane 4 it is. Lane 4 has been given a full start. The red card is out, and Haja Akaldi has gone from Bahrain. So there's a big opportunity for Bahrain gone. You can see the reaction time, 0.093. Look at lane 4, the white T-shirt. Initially, we thought it was Sharapova. It's very, very tight, isn't it?
Well, they do have a tolerance level, or what is perceived to be the fastest time that you can get away from the blocks, having not in some way anticipated the starter. Now that is 1/10 of a second. She was here or away 7/100ths of a second too fast. So it is scientific. It is not done according to the naked eye. It's a false start, but only just, if you know what I mean. So that is an entirely correct decision, even though we couldn't necessarily see it ourselves with the naked eye, because that is not how the judgment is made.
Yeah, not a bad idea, Martin, to get some idea of how short a time it is. 2 taps on the table as quick as you can do it is generally 0.2 of a second. So it is tiny, tiny margins. Away they go, third time of asking, and it's a great start from Safronova in 6. Round the bend, Safronova still looking good, but now Wei Yongli of China starts to make her move. She moves into the lead with just under 100 to go. Again, a drive from Safronova. She's got the head at this stage. 3 going through by right. Wei is in that number at the moment, and on the far side, Sharipova, after looking very, very nervous about the full start, she survives automatic qualifier. Safronova, Wei, Sharipova, all going through to the finals. Wow, that is not the sort of way they wanted their semi-final to run. They wanted it stress-free. They wanted over and done with. But that's an extra, what, 5, 6, 7 minutes they've been out on the track. 23:41, the winning time. And just 0.03 of a second quicker than Safronova produced in the heats early this morning.
Well, if I'm in the Safronova camp, I'd be rather concerned with the way she finished over the last 20 metres there. She was tying up very, very badly indeed. Sharipova over on the far side, who really missed it through the opening 100, is making a lot of ground now. But look at Safronova there, closest to the camera. She's hurting. Now that is a woman in trouble over the last 20. No doubt for me, who was the most impressive, Odion, in that first heat. She really will be heading on her way to a sprint double. But here, the best of this 3, I reckon, was Wei there in the middle, who's looking fairly relaxed. And Safronova, look at her there, she's hurting. The stride shortening. She's got no more to give.
Well, at least Safronova has a little time to recover from this effort. Quite impressed with the comeback of Sharipova. She was way, way off the pace coming off the bend. Tried her best to relax, but Safronova, the defending champion, anything but convincing here this evening. And Christina Knott will have to wait and see how good her effort was. Here we go with the results. So 23:41 for Safronova. She goes through despite the fact that the last 20, 30 metres were painful. Wei is still in with a chance of getting the gold that she so desperately wanted in that 100 metres. And Sharipova, of course, getting that 3rd slot, having put in a very, very strong second 100 metres and not on 23:65. 2 disqualifications from that second semi. Das went, and we also lost Achaldi. Well, there are your qualifiers. Knott goes through as lucky loser. Quaish 2 with a 23:76. Shand with the quickest time, but Odion was cruising from a long, long way out. What a semi-final. And that will set up a brilliant climax to the women's 200 tomorrow evening.
Well, this is our first medal ceremony of the night. It's for the men's 110-metre hurdles.
Gentlemen, the victory ceremony for men's 110 meters hurdles final.
Chinese hurdlers have been dominant for quite a while on the continent, and that pattern was followed again tonight.
Zi Wenjun, the defending champion, ran a 13:64 in the qualifying, and he never really looked in doubt after he'd cleared 4 flights of the hurdles. It was a slow start from Zi. He is going to produce a very quick time when he gets away quickly.
Bronze medal representing Japan, Takayama Sunya.
Japan also have a very good record in this event. Takayama Shunya. 13.84 this morning. And he had every right to feel confident coming into the final. Drawn in lane 4. And with that medal around his neck, I should think he's very pleased about his decision to switch from baseball. He was a handy player, but he decided athletics was for him.
Silver medal representing Chinese Taipei, Chen Kuiru.
From the Chinese Taipei, in the lane next door to Takayama, Chen Kueri, 24-year-old now, and having just made the heats in 2014, at the age of 20, he's obviously learnt a lot, improved a lot over the last 4 years. He is heading home with a silver medal. But no doubt about the class act in the men's 110-metre hurdles. And to win, having been at the back of the pack after the first 2 flights, is very, very impressive indeed.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Shows talent and confidence
Asian Games
and patience.
representing China.
Essentially, he decelerated less than everyone else in the field. Zi Wenjun, for the second time, the Asian Games champion at 110 hurdles. And we wait for the Chinese national anthem. First thing this morning, China exactly twice as many gold medals as the next best team, Japan, at these games. In the athletics stadium, it's been Bahrain, particularly in the women's events, that have topped the table.
National anthem of China.
So that concludes the medal ceremony for the men's 110 hurdles. Cracking race, the hurdles all set up prior to the evening session. And China's dominance continues. 11 times now they've won the 110 hurdles title. Plenty of field events going on, and now back to the heptathlon shot put, and Hembram in the circle.
Well, here is Purnima Hembram in round 3. The remarkable story here is that Swapna Barman is still out in front, and that has come down, well, somewhere around about 12 metres. Rather difficult to tell, of course, with the rather optimistically marked out lines you can see down the sector there. We haven't troubled those anywhere near yet this evening. But her best so far, 11.83, and I reckon this could be an improvement. Not a huge one. Well, there it is, 12 metres 24 for Hembram, and that is worth 677 points. So Hembram, remember, lying in 3rd place after the previous discipline. You have to admire the determination of this woman. She's in a great deal of discomfort. 12.69 in the opening round. Ooh, and that's slipped out the side of the hand. That won't be an improvement, but against all the odds, every chance here that Barman will be extending her lead. She's quite a talent, this young lady. She's just 21. She won the Asian Championships last year. So there you go, that 12.69 looking rather good, or being made to look better with each passing round.
Voronina, the distance sadly not equal to the scream, and she knows it. Voronina with the longest PB of all those in the field, and she really does need a good performance here, because after this Wang will gain an advantage, we think, in the 200 and the long jump. And it's not until we get to the javelin that Voronina is superior again. So she gets an extra 6 centimetres, but still almost a metre away from her PB.
So 2 semi-finals of the men's 200 metres. It'll be the first 3 plus 2 fast losers going through to the final. That name, Femi Ogunodi, appears on the Asian Games record again, as it did in the 100. He won the title 4 years ago, and as with the 100, he hasn't sent himself, but he's sent his younger brother here to defend family pride and perhaps to try and retain the title. When Tosin Ogunodi goes in lane 6 here, he did rather well in the 100, came very, very close to taking the title. Goes home, or will go home, with the silver medal.
Semi-final 1.
And he was rather handy this morning as well. But let's go through the full lineup of 8, shall we? This is Trenton Baram of Philippines on lane 8. Or in lane 8, I should say.
Lane 7.
Yes, a private joke between somebody out there and himself. Hassan Taftian. He went well in the 100, finished 6th.
Lane 6.
20.74 is best at this distance. So here is Tosin Ogunodi. Clocked 27.8 this morning. Well, they've all got their way, haven't they? Bringing a little bit of showbiz to the track. Shota Izuka. That rather more conventional, I think, from the Japanese.
Lane 4.
Certainly more subtle, anyway.
Korea.
Park Tae-gon. Yeah. From Korea Republic. 20.77 this morning, the second fastest qualifier.
Yakub, Bahrain.
Yakub. The Bahrainis leading the medal table in track and field at the moment.
Lane 2.
Ahmed Al-Kabouli.
Iraq.
Deep in his thoughts for a moment. And the man from the Islamic Republic of Iraq breaks into a little smile.
Lane 1.
Well, there is lane 1, Wei Taisheng of Chinese Taipei. So the theatrics is done. Let's focus on the action. He certainly is the man to watch here. Park Tae-gon. Second in the Asian Championships last year, ran 20.40 7 weeks ago. In his pomp, Shota Izuka there in lane 5 is rather handy. It's competitive. Look out for Ogunodi. There in lane 6, and Taftian. If he can reproduce the form that he showed in the 100, he too will be a real contender here. Just 3 guaranteed a spot in the final. Ogunodi flies out of the blocks, as you might expect of a 100-metre specialist. He's already up and past Taftian. Oh, he's gone as Ogunodi. A muscle problem there, and coming through is Izuka. And also flying, you can see there in lane 3, that's Yakub. And Yakub it is, along with Park, and outside him Izuka. And in the end, it's all very straightforward for them. But in terms of Tosin Ogunodi flying as he came round the bend, well, it's all come to a very sharp, painful end, and he may well have been quite literally hamstrung. Well, Yakub has certainly put his name in the mix for that final. 2061, it isn't fiercely fast, but then I don't think in the end any of that first three needed to do it. But there was clearly a little niggle there somewhere. And Patrick, it happened after about 80 or 90 metres. Let's see if we can identify what the problem is. He was leading at that point. There it came. Ooh, dear.
Well, I'm not sure that pull-up was quick enough for a hamstring. I guess the other option is the Achilles tendon. But I didn't think he looked particularly comfortable off the start compared to Yakub, who was sensational this morning and has an edge. Yeah, it looks more like a foot or an Achilles problem to me. But either way, he is out of the competition, and that's a shame because this was shaping up to be another great contest, just like the women's 200. And I guess those who saw him drift wide will feel that that is one big obstacle out of the way. Izuka very relaxed. Yakub had more to give, and Park of Korea also looking comfortable. 3 automatic qualifiers and 2 fastest losers obviously going through to make up the 8 for the final. And we've got just under 4 minutes before the start of the next semi-final.
So this is Shen Muhan. Final effort, the best so far of 12 metres 26. It's still Swapna Barman who's provided the longest put this morning, but I don't know if that's the case now. Very mindful to slip out of the back of the circle. She doesn't look too overwhelmed with the quality of that, but I reckon that's an improvement on that 12.26 that we saw in the second round. And indeed, it has been measured at 12 metres 78, so it's the longest put we've seen of this evening. So Shen, with 713 points, is starting to nibble into that advantage of Swapna Barman. So there is confirmation of that result. Shen Muhan leading that event, 12.78. Although it's worth making the point that Shen did start the event down in 10th spot. So in terms of the leading contenders, Barman actually extending her lead in the overall standings, as we see there. It's now 89 points she leads over Wang. Barman there, 2,691 points. Hembram there of India in the bronze medal position. So we do have 2 Indians in the medal positions at the moment. Still one more discipline to come on this opening day, and we'll have a couple of heats of the 200 metres later on in this programme.
Voronina, of course, moving up in the 4th in the women's heptathlon as we have a look at the start list of the second semi-final of the men's race. Let's hope we don't have any injuries in this one. Just a reminder that one of the favourites, Tosin Ogonodi, has gone out.
Lane 8, BK, China.
On the outside. BK of China looked very good in heat 4, which was the fastest of the heats. Hadid from Lebanon, a late replacement, and surprised us with his speed earlier on today. 21.33.
Kim Kuk-kyung,
Kim
Korea.
Kuk-kyung. He was another who looked very comfortable in the heats, running 27.8.
Lane 5, Al-Sadi Mohammed Obaid Hindi, Oman.
Al-Sadi Mohammed. And 27.4. Those two the fastest qualifiers earlier on today. Yuki Kyoke stepped up from the 100 metres and seems to be doing okay.
Yang Chunhan, Chinese Taipei.
Shunhan, 5th in the 100 metres in a time of 10.17. Remember, it was 1 in 9.92.
Kazakhstan.
Grigoriev from Kazakhstan, former cross-country skier. You can see the bulk in the arms. And then from Indonesia, a man with a PB of 21.34. He's done well to get through to the semis. Kertanagara. There he is. He is going to get more support than he's ever had. But can he produce something to get him through to the next stage? needs to finish in the top 3 to be sure.
On your mark.
3 disqualifications for full starts today so far. We don't need any more, but as the tension builds, they become more likely. Kurtanagra in 1, Grigoriev, Kazakhstan in 2, Yang 3, Koki 4, Al-Sadi in 5, 6 is Kim, 7 Hadid, and then BG in 8. No problems this time, and a quick start from Kim of Korea in lane 6. But coming through on the inside now, Yang and Kyoki. And it's Yang who's looking very strong indeed. Kyoki of Japan keeps his form, has a look to the left and the right, and just cruises over the finish. So Kyoki is through, Yang is through. (23.5), similar time to our first semi-final. It's building up to a good climax. Yang safely through, fed off the speed of Kyoki on the bend. And a PB, what a time to do it. He needs another one in the final, 23.5. Despite the hot and humid conditions, we've seen some fine performances so far today. Keep an eye on 6 as well, Kim of Korea. Not a bad start, but he still had work to do when he hit the home straight. Inside him is Al-Sadi, and Sadi fading with 80 to go. Kyoki keeping tabs on the rest of the competition, and I don't think Yang interested in a duel to the finish. He's thinking of the final, and so he should be.
Well, the big guns have been starting to show some of their hand, haven't they, tonight, after this morning, which for so many of them was just a bit of a run-through. And I'd put both Koiki there of Japan and Yang inside him, the Asian champion from last year who finished 5th in the 100. Just beginning to turn up the heat a little bit here, and you can see on the right there the man in the blue of Chinese Taipei certainly wasn't committing himself in quite the same way that Koiki there of Japan was. So top men here not giving a huge amount away. Koiki there 20.35, he was certainly rather close to foot flat to the floor with what was a fine run. 20.35, that's very, very respectable. In fact, it's better than that. Yang in second place, 20.53. Kim there, the 3rd fastest qualifier. I think it's a wide open final here. Very impressed with Yakub in that first semi-final. Look at that.
And of course, both the lucky losers coming out of that second semi, Al-Sadi and BG scraping through with a 29.0. All of them sub 21 seconds. And so a step up in level, as you would expect, from the heats earlier on this morning.
Yes.
Yakub certainly.
BG just about staying alive.
Yakub certainly looking good in the first heat. Yang looks as though he had more to give as well.
Well, we do have another field final. This is our first view of the pole vault. The bar there at 4 meters and 20. So this is a first attempt. And comfortably over. Well, that was very impressive there for Chom Chuendi. Got a lifetime best of 4:21, but on the evidence of that, there is a lot more to come. We do have an outstanding favourite in this event with Ling Li, who's world ranked just outside the top 20. In global terms, this is not the strongest event at these Asian Games. And this is Ling Li. Jumped 460 at the World Cup in London last month. She gets it right. She will win this with plenty in hand, and that is an illustration of just why. That was very relaxed indeed. Looks rather like some precautionary strapping on her left calf there. My word. A good 30 centimetres of daylight there. So a clearance of 420 there for the event favourite. Let's take a look here at the full list of 6 women in this pole vault final happening around the top bend there. Chom Chuendi, who we've just seen go over impressively 420. We do have the Chinese there, Li Ling. She's a clear favourite here.
And the women's javelin about to get underway as we have a look at the start list for that event. Further down, Lu and Lee with Wichadit of Thailand throwing 8. And throwing the opposite direction to last night, you might notice, in the men's event.
Well, that javelin final just getting underway. We'll bring you the action of that a little bit later. And we have a defending champion in this field for this women's 800-metre final. 6 finals in all tonight. This the second of them.
Well, the defending champion, Mukasheva, has made it through, despite the fact she finished 3rd in her heat. I think there was some tactics involved there. There she is in lane number 4, still the favourite, despite the fact that she only ran 2:04.52. Has she recovered in time for tonight's final? We'll find out over the next couple of minutes. Out in lane 8, Manal Alba Rui. Switch from Morocco to Bahrain in 16, was able to represent Bahrain in 17. Artigala Abarathna for Sri Lanka. Competed in the Commonwealth Games earlier this summer. Shiomi for Japan, only 5'3", 45 kilos, up against some giants of the sport. Yota of Bahrain, 2:04.35 to win her heat earlier on today. Mukasheva, semi-finalist in the Olympics, the Asian Games champion. Kitamura in lane 3, Vu Thi Lee of Vietnam in 2:8.47, and then Wang Chanyu, another semi-finalist from the Olympic Games, up against her rival Mukasheva in this final. So the women's 800-metre final. India with the most medals in this event, but they're not represented tonight in the final 8 athletes. And a good strong start from Wang Chunyu on the inside. Vu Thi Lee seems to have an issue, just taking it easy. She'll settle it in at the back of the pack once they break from their lanes. And with a strong start, it's Wang who leads the way down the back straight for the first time. 2 laps of the track. What are we going to see at the split? Just over the minute mark, perhaps, and a little jostling. And looks as though Artigala Abarathna was involved in that, wearing 9.36, but doesn't affect the race leaders.
Well, the likes of Wang should be well suited to a fast pace. She went through 200 in about 27. They've eased down as they tend to do. But keep your eyes out on the clock here. Anything inside 60 seconds is very fast. But you can see, look, the defending champion Just looking a little bit concerned they're back in about 6th spot, but 59.05, that's setting up a world-class race.
498 at the back of this group is the defending champion, Mukasheva. It's a very different race from this morning. No one went sub 2:04. I suspect this is going to be considerably quicker, and Wang just lengthens her stride. She has company though. El Baroui running nicely, number 109, right on the shoulder of the race leader, Wang Chanyu of China. Into the last 120 metres. They'll see the tape in just a moment. Round they come. It's round the apex. Who has got it in the legs? Wang goes for a little acceleration, and she leaves El Baroui behind by a metre. Mukasheva surely has left her challenge too late. Wang Chunyu surely is going to take this one. Question is, will Mukasheva be able to add silver to the gold she won 4 years ago? Yes, she will. She finishes well. But it's Wang Chunyu, a semi-finalist from the Olympic Games, running 2:01.80. Having run 2:08.99 this morning. She saved a lot in the semi-finals. She's expended everything in the final to take the gold. Wang, the Asian Games champion at 800 metres for 2018.
Well, that was a dominant performance, wasn't it, Patrick? She ensured a fast pace, and that effectively wrote off 2/3 of that field. Wang knew that if she went out there in 60 or sub 60 as she did, there simply would only be 2 or 3 who could go with her. But she had absolute confidence in her own ability to lead that from the front, and that's very, very hard to do. Mukasheva, in all honesty, never gave herself a chance. She ran a loser's race here, and the one you need to take your hat off to is El Baroui, who did at least give it a go of going with the Chinese, and that in the end, I'd rather suspect, cost the Bahraini a silver medal.
And not only has Wang taken the title, she's taken the record away from Mukasheva as well. So double punishment for 498 from Kazakhstan. The record previously stood... I must apologise. It was 2:02 she ran last year in the first round. Actually, the record standing at 1:59.02. So she does hold on to that. So a little consolation for Mukasheva. But Wang, very, very impressive. Well, she didn't leave anything to chance there, Martin.
Well, there you see that winning time, 2:01.80. It was almost routine for the Chinese there. She ran it from the front. She was always in the best position, and there simply was no one good enough to get past her. And in the end, she left something beneath the bonnet to kick on and pull herself clear down that home straight. It was an imperious performance. Well, those blocks will remain there. When I say the blocks, I'm talking about the yellow blocks there. We do have a couple of field events continuing, and this is one of those. In the pole vault, this is Lim Yunji taking her 3rd attempt here. Li Ling of China going well. Chom Chuendi as well of Thailand. Important here, tax the plant. Oh, and she's got over. Well, that was timely. Very timely indeed. Well, let's take another look at that. This is an event which demands a bit of everything. Athletic skill, the talents of a gymnast. So many, particularly the female vaulters, have got a background in gymnastics. And the other quality, which cannot be overstated, is a fair old nerve. So 3rd attempt, 4:20. She stays in the competition. Chen finding herself in a similar position. The jumper from Chinese Taipei here, who's gone higher than she's ever done to get to this point. 3rd and final attempt, 4:20. Well, she bows out of the competition. So we're starting to lose jumpers here. So we started off with 6, and we only now have 3 remaining. So we have a tie. Chom Chuendi, Li Ling, the event favourite, and Lim Yunji of Korea. They are the only athletes who remain. So the next final, the men's 800 metres. Yusuf Saad Kamel there, the Asian record holder. Man related to the great Billy Conchella. Conchella, who won the world title back in 1987. So, there is the lineup. The semi-finals last night were only mildly instructive, but the Qataris holding a particularly strong hand here with Abubakar Abdullah. He won his semi-final a bit earlier. Jamal Harana there of Qatar, perhaps the most prominent of the Qataris.
Lane A, Rotish Abraham, Bahrain.
So there is Abraham Rotich, semi-final winner. Amir Muradi goes here in lane 7 from the Islamic Republic of Iran. So here's Jamal Harana. Could well prove to be the strongest of the 2 Qataris. Picked up a bronze in this event 4 years ago. Sho Kawamoto. He's a 145 man at his best. So Herath there of Sri Lanka. Certainly one of the outsiders coming to this final. Sri Lanka, though, done well here at these championships. Jinson Johnson looked good last night. Semi-final winner. Came 5th at the Commonwealth Games in the 1500 early this year when he broke the Indian record. Manjit Singh. So India with 2 finalists here. And there his Abubakar Abdullah, semi-final winner. Ran away from the field last night, and he celebrates his birthday tonight. He's 22. The final of the men's 800 metres. So the first bend here, running lanes. If Abraham Rotich is anything like at his best, he'd run away from this field. Once ran 1:43.13. That was when he was a teenager. He led home a world-class field at a race in the Diamond League in Monaco, but it's worth pointing out that was 6 years ago. Has not been in anything like that form since, although he did win his semi-final looking as if he had plenty in hand, and that is Rotich there wearing 1:37. Just running on the shoulder there of Abdullah, the birthday boy. Now Abdullah is all strength, hasn't perhaps got the speed of others, but believe me, he keeps on going.
Really intriguing final, this one. And it is Abdullah who leads at the moment, but look how comfortable Rotich is in second place, tracking his every move. The Bahrainian is in the perfect position to strike. This is gearing up for a fabulous last 300 metres. The 2 men at the front look as though they're poised and ready for business.
Well, it was 53.75 at the bell, so in all honesty, it wasn't that fast. But now kicking on is Abdullah, the birthday boy, and he'll make it a test of strength as much as he can. He did this last night. He's kicked now, following behind him. You can see there Abraham Rotich, and now Johnson moving into position. And Johnson has got a real kick finish. But it's Abdullah who showed real strength last night. Rotich, can he accelerate? And coming down the outside is Manjit Singh. And Singh may get there. The Indian's going to win it. He came here perhaps as the number 2. Johnson comes through in second. It's India 1-2. That is a surprise result. And in the end, all they did was set it up for Manjit Singh. We were here celebrating the birthday of Abu Bakr Abdullah. Well, Singh's birthday present has come early. He's 29 on Saturday. What a finish up the home straight.
That was a brilliant finish from Singh. Only a semi-finalist in the Commonwealth Games 8 years ago in Delhi, but how mature was that performance? 146.15. It looked as though it was going to be his compatriot Jinson Johnson, who was so impressive, winning his semi-final, who would be in the mix for India. Last Indian medal was a silver back in 2006. Now watch, 3-3-2 on the left. Abdullah's looking at the screen. Rotic is tying up. He manages to pull Jinson Johnson, his compatriot, along with him. And he looked around. There was nobody coming to the left or the right. That was a fantastic performance. And the Indians are putting together a wonderful week here on the track and in the field. This is yet another golden, glorious moment for them. And who would have predicted Singh would be the champion before the race? He's come in and foxed everybody.
Well, that's so often happens in championship 800s. It's the brave man at the front who tends to set it up for others, and that was the case with Abu Bakr Abdullah. Rotic, as he tends to do, looks imperious, but when he squeezes down the accelerator pedal, well, there's nothing there. It's exactly what happened tonight. He got himself into the perfect position to strike, but he had nothing beneath the bonnet to deliver. The best time run of all coming there from Manjit Singh. What a wonderful moment for him. What a stunning night for India. Gold and silver. Abdullah goes away with the bronze. And look at that. Rotic, the 143 man, in the end, faded all the way back to 5th.
Brilliant drama on the track, and there's drama in the field event as well. We're up to 440 now. This is Chom Chuendi of Thailand, bronze medalist in the Asian Championships in 2013 and 2017. The Chinese athletes are dominating this competition at the moment. Just looked a little bit laboured on her way up. Just a clarification. First time clearance at for Li Ling at 4:30. This should, in theory, be a great night for the Chinese in this event. They are the only nation ever to have won this women's pole vault title at the Asian Games. Chom Chuendi of Thailand will have 2 more chances.
So, here is Li Ling, perfect at the moment, clear at 4:20 and at 4:30. The only athlete really in Asia who is world ranked at any enhanced sort of level comes here, of course, as defending champion, 2 times an Asian champion, those in those Asian championships rather than the Asian Games. She's also won in her time a World Student Games title. You may know that as the Universiade. And she has been to heights significantly elevated on her rivals here in recent times. 460 in London at that World Cup just a few weeks ago. So this shouldn't pose too much of a problem. Can she put clear air between herself and her rivals? Oh, and she caught it on the way down. Well, there's almost an embarrassed smile there, because this is an event in which there really is a third dimension. The depth of the jump is so important, and if you look here at a high point, she's well clear. but she catches it on the way down. She's got the depth of her jump wrong this time. One or two adjustments, just caught it with a knee on the way down. Just watch it. On the way down now. Whoop, well, maybe just the outside of the thigh, perhaps. Just catching it above the knee. One or two small adjustments, and I'm sure she'll be okay. But that's her first failure of the evening.
Chinese coaches have a little bit to do in that women's pole vault, the event that they have dominated so well over the last few editions of the Asian Games, first contested in 1998. Sense of anticipation growing in the stadium. We've got the women's pole vault, the women's javelin is underway, and a really intriguing women's 5,000 metres not too far away from starting as well. And we round off the evening with the first ever mixed relay in the 4x4. 2 men, 2 women, any order they like. Should be some fun and games at the end of the night. No, was never there, was it?
So the next final on the track is the women's 5,000 metres. 12.5 laps of the track. And we spoke at the start of the programme about the strength at the moment of Bahraini athletics, how they lead the medals table in track and field over the course of the first 3 days. Well, they hold a particularly strong hand in this event here. On to Rabitu at the bottom there, wearing 117. She one of the 2 Bahrainis here, the other Kalkidan Befkadu. Both will be lining up at opposite ends of this starting line. So there is Rabitu, who went to the World Championships in London last year, found herself eliminated in the first round, although she still ran a time which would later waste much of this particular field. 3:03, that's Jadvav of India. No doubt will have watched on with that women's 800 metres and thought that after that, I've got to start delivering something too. Let's see if she does. Kamidova of Uzbekistan. 15:56 she's run this year, so there are women here capable of running, well, about 300 metres faster than that. Angela Freitas de Fatima Araujo of Timor-Leste, the former East Timor. Well, the Japanese, you have to respect any Japanese woman running in the longer distances. Minami Yamanouchi, one of 2 here, 15:21 her fastest time this year. Li Dan of China. And here is Aliyah Mohammed, world class in her pomp. 15:00:45 a lifetime best. Failed in the defence of her 10,000 metre title. A proud salute from Nebaho. She is the Indonesian representative here. Widar of Nepal. She will struggle to hold on to the early pace, in all honesty. Surya Loganathan of India. India with 2 finalists here. Daria Maslova won the 10,000 metres. Completed an Asian Championships double 12 months ago, seeking to do the same here at the Asian Games. Tamara Armush of Jordan. Timor-Leste with 2 representatives, Rubia Martins. And here is the second of the Japanese, Rina Nabashima. And right on the inside, certainly the most intriguing competitor in this field, Kalkidan Befkadu. You may well remember her as Kalkidan Gazian. And when she competed under the name Gazian, Well, she was world class, but that is going back a few years now, competing here under her married name. So, 12 and a half laps of the track. Maslova going for the 5 and 10 double. The former Miss Gezian going for what would be a turning back of the clock, about 8 or 9 years.
Yes, it's interesting, Martin, that with some of the expatriated East Africans, after transferring to Bahrain or Qatar, their best days seem to be behind them. That's not the case for all, but certainly as far as Kalkadan Befkadu, as we know her now, 105, just in the pack. She's a long way off the days that took her to the world indoor title over 1,500 metres in Doha. I was there for that one. She's the 7th fastest junior in history over 3,000 metres. Transferred from Ethiopia to Bahrain in 2013, now 27 years of age. Just in the pack, around about 2/3 of the way down, so we'll wait to see what kind of form Bakadu brings here. Aliyah Mohammed was 4th in the 10,000 metres. Another Ethiopian who now represents the United Arab Emirates. She was the champion over the 10,000. We'll keep our eye on her. She's in 2nd place at the moment, 8:15. I like the look of both Japanese athletes, Martin. Nabeshima, 7th in the Asian Cross-Country Championships, 4:48. There she is, just on the left of shot there, and then her taller compatriot, Yamanouchi, she's in form, 15:21 earlier this year, 1:61, just having a little nudge there. It's Lee Dan, the Asian cross-country champion this year, a 2:30 marathon runner. She's just decided it's time to tuck in behind Logan Fan, the Indian who leads, who was 6th in the 10,000 metres. I don't think there's a standout favourite in this one, really, Martin, although we are watching carefully to see what the former East Africans do, now flying the flags for the likes of Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates. And we're forgetting about Maslova. Maslova, who created history and was in tears at the end of the 10,000, becoming their first ever champion over 10,000 metres. She's aiming to become only the 2nd woman in history to do the 5 and 10 double at the Asian Games, and she's just quite happy at the back. 5:80, you can just see her tucked in the pack. A thoroughly intriguing race, this one.
Well, if we were looking for a fast race, we ain't going to get it, because they've just gone through 800 metres in something like 2:38. Now, that is very slow indeed. 79-second laps. I mean, that's 16-minute plus pace. Of course, they're going to pick it up. You see Maslova there wearing 5:80. Up on the outside, they're running 3 and 4 wide. Now, Maslova, she holds a national record for Kyrgyzstan at 15:00:42, and I do remember hearing a quote from the now late Ron Clark when he had that wonderful string of records half a century ago. He broke something like 3 records, world records, in 4 nights once, and he was asked, you know, didn't you ever feel tired? He said, no, I was buoyed by each individual performance, which I guess are the sort of emotions that Maslova will be going through at the moment. She will feel as if she's moving along one of those moving walkways that you tend to have at airports. She will not feel tired at all. She will feel that this really is there for the taking. She picked up the double last year at the Asian Championships, and, well, certainly emotionally she'll be feeling that she's in a position she hasn't been in before. And already this field is starting to get strung out. Out in front, wearing 4:48, that's Nabeshima, the first of the Japanese. She's a 15:10 athlete. 8:15, that's Aliyah Mohammed, the now dethroned 10,000 metre champion. She's looking comfortable, but frankly, at this tempo, you'd expect so. So, too, the former Miss Gazian, back there in 4th place at the moment. Not only is she a former world indoor champion, a title she won as a teenager, but also that was a period when she was breaking a string of world junior records. She was going to be the next great thing. When she won that world indoor title, she beat Galeta Burka, at the point a teammate in the Ethiopian team. But Those days long behind her, but can she turn back the clock? Since then, she's had some wretched Achilles tendon problems. She's had surgery, but here she is now. And if she's at anything like her best, she'd take the title. But that is a massive question mark.
It is. There's a long way to go here, and it's a thoroughly intriguing race. 580 is Maslova. She's just at the back. It looks as though there's around about 9 of them beginning to try and pull away, although Kamidova of Uzbekistan, wearing 822, is just trying to hang on at the back. So too is Tamara Armush, the Briton, who flies the flag for Jordan as a result of one of her parents coming from Jordan. 117 Rebitu. Now she's coming up into 3rd place for the first time. A very good athlete, the 20-year-old. Another, talking about 117, she's in 3rd place there. Just looking up on the big screen as Bakadu leads. We have Ethiopia 1, 2, 3, but obviously now representing their new nations. Rebitu got a bronze in the World Juniors 2 years ago. She ran 15.16, as Martin mentioned, in the heats of the 5. And actually, with 15.16, she was unlucky not to make the final. And all of a sudden, that little injection of pace from Bakadu has split the field. A few athletes have been spat out the back. And all of a sudden, where we had 9, we now have 7 in touch with this group. And Bakadu, who we've been talking about a great deal, has decided to take it on. That kilometre, 3 minutes. Now, I suspect, Martin, we're getting into the race proper.
Yeah, that 2nd kilometre run at something closer to 15-minute pace for 5,000 metres, although they're still out of the 15:30 schedule. I reckon this is going to go low 15s by the time they get towards the finish here, because that pace that has been added by Beth Gadu has been sustained. Mohammed has slipped out of the back. The 10,000-metre champion is not going to be picking up even a medal here. And Rebitu, wearing 117, has now moved through to the front. There's an element of team tactics here. It certainly looks like it. And now Beth Gadu has gone to the front herself. They're asking questions of Maslova. The 10,000-metre champion is going with them. However, the former Miss Gazian, the former world indoor champion, who as a racing animal is in a different class to all the others. However, that is on the basis of evidence she presented over a string of performances close to a decade ago. But now the racing is on. The question being asked of Maslova, can she sustain this pace? It is essentially boiled down to a 3,000-metre race.
This is very positive running from Kaukadin Bakadu. She wasn't content with the pace being set by her Bahraini teammate, Bontu Rebitu, who's just 20 years of age. Maslova was getting a couple of shoves in the back down the home straight on the preceding lap. She looks as though she's working very hard to stay with this pace, and these 3 have an advantage of somewhat 25 metres or so as they come round with 6 laps to go. This is a really intriguing race now, and do you know what, from a neutral's point of view, when you are looking at an athlete of the quality of Bakadu, and you know that she's been ravaged by injuries, and you know how talented she is and how capable she can be, it's great to see her once again showing some glimpses of the form that took her to that world indoor title as a teenager 8 years ago. She looks good here, and she looks as though, Martin, she's going again and opening up a little bit of a gap on Rebitu.
Well, this title was won 4 years ago by a Bahraini, Mariam Yusuf Jamal, herself a former world champion, and now Beth Gadu, approaching the end of the 3rd kilometre, is opening up 2 or 3 metres, and Maslova is beginning to struggle here. Bahrain 1, Bahrain 2, Kyrgyzstan there in 3rd place. And you have to say that the former world indoor champion is looking imperious here. Clearly full of confidence. She's gone with fully 2 kilometres remaining. Let's keep an eye on the clock here. We'll get some idea of the pace. And suddenly now, after that desperately slow opening kilometre and a half, we're at a pace which takes us well inside 15.5 minutes. And it's turning into a demonstration. You can see Maslova now moving past Rebitu, or at least looking to go past, but I'm not sure she has it in her at the moment to do it. But it is an early strike from Beth Gadu, the woman who's been stricken by Achilles injuries that would have finished many lesser athletes. She's been running in a Bahraini vest now for 4 or 5 years since making the move from East Africa, which, as Rob was saying, has become something of a fashion. But this, well, it's not quite a world-class performance, Rob, but you know what? It's a performance by a world-class athlete.
This is really, really good from Kalkadin Bakadu. Very confident, very positive. There were glimpses that perhaps she was regaining some of her form. She's coming up here with 4 laps to go. She'll go sweeping past 3 of the back markers all in one go. 69.8 on that lap. She has run a 15.04 5K on the roads, but she hasn't produced anything like this for a long time. And all credit, by the way, to Maslova, because at one stage it looked as though she was becoming detached from Rebitu in 3rd, but all of a sudden, a couple of laps ago, there they are, just on the extreme right of picture, Maslova fancies the silver here. She's just tracking Rebitu, letting the other Bahraini do all that hard work, and I think Maslova is poised to strike to back up her gold in the 10 with a silver in the 5. That's a little race within the race, but this is a fabulous performance, Martin, from Bakadu. She, on the evidence of what we're seeing here, is coming back to the form that at one stage led us to believe she could become one of the all-time greats.
Well, that last split of sub-70, that is class. And when she goes through the finish line here, we'll get some idea what she's clocked for the last 2 400-metre splits. That is the race for second at the moment. They're almost 80 metres adrift. So let's get the split here. The last one was 69 and bits. This one has eased down to 71 and bits. Just maybe an indication that her own pace is beginning to take the edge off her, but her margin of supremacy, look at that, you could see it. It is now 75 metres, something like that, over the race for second place between Rebitu and the 10,000-metre champion Maslova. Maslova has done nothing wrong here. The issue is that it simply is a gulf in class between a very fine athlete here from Kyrgyzstan who's good enough to win Asian Championship doubles, and as we've seen here, perhaps slightly weaker 10,000-metre titles at the Asian Games. But the moment you add a bit of genuine world class to the mix, as we're doing here, then suddenly it becomes a very different ask altogether.
Her cadence still looks good. She's coming up to 2 laps to go, just 800 metres separating her from a major title that would signal a welcome return to the big time for Bakadu, the 7th fastest junior in history over 3,000 metres. The stride still looks good. Yes, she's slowing down a fraction. She was 71 plus change, now she's 72 plus change. And look at this from Maslova coming into the bottom of your shot, confident enough to pull away from Rebitu, but they are in a different race, it would seem, because down the back straight, this former Ethiopian and now Bahraini is still pouring on the pace and the pressure, and she's reminding a great deal of people just how high quality an athlete she really is.
And I don't know if she looks at the clock, the former Ethiopian here, Bakadu, but a sub-15-minute time here is not out of the question. If she can produce 2 stints here of around about 70 seconds, maybe just inside. But hats off to Maslova, because she's run an intelligent race here. She clearly sensed that she wasn't going to be in the same class as a almost fit again Bakadu. What she did was to wait on the shoulder of Rebitu, the second of the Bahrainis, and then with 800 metres to go, she kicked the final lap. Well, she slipped outside 15-minute pace now, but if she can try and clock something inside 70, this is going to be very decent indeed when you consider just how slow that first kilometre and a little bit more was. At the end of 11 and a half laps, I wonder if she's going to set herself a little time trial for this last 400. But it is a huge gap. It is now well over 100 metres, something like 110 metres. You'll see the future silver medalist just appearing there in the distance, coming into the last 300 metres. But Kalkadin Bakadu, after some dark days in her career, the Achilles injuries. She must have been heartbroken during that period. A world indoor champion, a string of world junior records in her teens. She's had a long time out at this level, but here she comes, and she's going to take her first Asian Games title. It's a mighty impressive performance, 15:08.09, and that is what it means to her. She is the champion. Maslova, full of running, will come in to take silver. It's been a fine week for her. Gold in the 10,000 metres, and now a silver in the 5. And she split the two Bahrainis. Here comes Rebitu. Bronze for her, and Japan coming in for 4th. But let's consider that performance by the new champion as we see the others coming in. They're wearing 909. That's Manami Yamanuchi just finishing some way behind her teammate Rina Nabeshima. But it was an extraordinary performance, and you have to chart the history of not only her but the middle distances just to try and almost illustrate how much that meant and the significance of that run by the new champion.
You could see the emotion on the face of Kalkadan Berkadu when she came across the line. A really confident, bold piece of front running. Another wonderful and emotional moment for Daria Maslova. What a game she's had. Gold in the 10, silver in the 5, and there was absolutely no disgrace with second place there. Berkadu and Rebitu flying the Bahraini flag, and I tell you what, Rebitu was absolutely shattered. That's Armush of Jordan just coming across the line. She was lapped towards the end. If that race had been another 100 metres, Rebitu 1:17 would have been overhauled by Nabeshima, because the Japanese woman was finishing like a steam train. But it is 5,000 metres, not 5,050, and it's a gold and a bronze for Bahrain, and another great, glorious medal for Kyrgyzstan with the silver. But Berkadu, as we watch Naibayo of Indonesia coming home, she's a 2:58 marathon runner. She ran that in Berlin last year, absolutely shattered, getting a great reception from the crowd. Berkadu is back. It was just a shade outside her PB, which is 15:07. I'm not saying she's back in the kind of ferocious, fast-paced form that took her to the world indoor title over 1500, but the manner in which she accelerated, the confidence with which she went to the front and then sustained that momentum was very, very impressive. And with another healthy winter, I think Berkadu could do some damage at the World Championship next year in Doha. She's a very, very good athlete, and she's announced to the distance running world that she's healthy again, she's fit again, and she's back in form.
Yes, floating across the track, and you can just see in those images that you're dealing with a quality performer. And also that she, if you consider the time she went here, with a long, long way to go, early in the second half of the race, it is a measure of how much confidence she brought to this race. She knew that she was going to put in a decent performance, but that wasn't enough for her. She wanted to run away from this field, run them into the ground. Yeah. She's happy.
That shows
for good
you.
Reason.
Yeah, that shows you just what it means to win an Asian Games title, and that was a celebration from a woman who has won a world title, albeit indoors, over 1500. That meant a huge amount to her.
So Kalkadan Berkadu is the women's 5,000 metre champion. 15 minutes, 8.08, and when you consider how slow it was in the early stages, that is a very decent time indeed. Daria Maslova, well, she will take home to Kyrgyzstan a silver medal to add to the gold she took in the 10,000 metres, and Rebitu ensuring it's 2 medals for Bahrain. They are having a stunning week here in track and field. Aliyah Mohammed, well, didn't really get into the race, did she? Down in 9th there, the former 10,000 metre champion.
4:30, third attempt. The pole vault's been continuing in earnest whilst we were very much enjoying that 5,000 metres. No, never quite looked as though it was on. Still have the mixed 4x4 to come, and we have the last event of the evening for the heptathletes, finishing their day one with the 200 metres. So, not to be at 4:40.
Well, that is absolutely crucial for the outcome of this event, because Chom Chuendi now has handed the initiative to Lee. Lee has had 2 failures at this height. As things stand, they share the lead. Now, if Lee fails here, it will be a jump off. If she clears it, she takes the title. She is below form, there's no doubt about that. She must dig deep and find something here. And Lee, oh, she's sailed over. You have to wonder when you see a clearance as impressive as that, quite where the problems were earlier on. That is the gold medal jump. Chom Chuendi of Thailand will take silver. Bronze goes to Lim of Korea. Well, we will see Lim jump in a couple of moments' time. In all honesty, she's not looked anything like going over this, but that certainly puts at least one hand on the title here for Li Ling.
Asian record holder, 470 indoors, 466 outdoors, so she should have been capable of 440. Now Lim, last chance, this to steal the silver from the Thailand vaulter we've just seen. Not to be. And it looks as though, once again, as it was 4 years ago, it is going to be bronze for Lim Yoon-ji. 4th in the Asian Championships back in 2013. She's back on the podium here. Piece of history, by the way, for Chom Chuendi of Thailand. No Thailand woman has ever won a medal in this event until today. Now we get to see just how good Li Ling is. It's surprising, Martin, bearing in mind how good she's been this season. 470 indoors, 466 outdoors, just wobbling a little bit to get over the line here with 440. However, she's done it, and we'll wait to see what she can do now that she's guaranteed to be going home with the gold.
So wearing 165, this is Liu Shiying of China. First round of this javelin final. An athlete who's capable, well capable of flying beyond 60. And she's done that with her opening throw. In fact, she's gone beyond 65. That's a tremendous start to this final. Well, Liu Shiying has been to 67.12 this year. This is a world-class event. The 2 Chinese here, both ranked in the world's top 5 in 2018. And the Asian Championship gold medalist from 3 years ago has gone out to 66.09. What a start to the competition. Not only is that a big one, it is a games record.
Liu Hui also going in the first round, 67.69 at her best. It's over 60 meters. It's a great throw, but we've just seen a brilliant throw. That was absolutely huge from Liu Shiying, 66.09. Chinese women had the 1 and 2 in the shot put, and there's every chance they could do the same here in the javelin. Their two representatives are genuinely world class. See how close she got to the line. 62.57, comfortably in second place.
Well, the two Japanese here, nothing like in the same class as the leading pair of Chinese. If you look back over their performances in recent months, they're more than 5 meters adrift. So, Marina Saito here, just looking to try and push towards 60, but, well, it's over 55. So Marina Saito, who went beyond 60 meters back in June. She was a silver medalist at the World Shooting Games last year, but the quality there, nothing like the quality we see here tonight. So Marina Saito there, 56.03, so it's a marginal improvement. She's there in third place.
Ladies and gentlemen, the victory ceremony.
Well, we've had some great races on the track. There's one more final to come. Now we have a chance to reflect on that brilliant 800 meters. Good to see a medal presentation relatively early in the evening, as opposed to the ones late on. Wang Chunyu was not to be denied. An excellent victory. Asian champion 5 years ago, former World Youth silver medalist 7 years ago, reminding us of her immense talent here this evening. Still a fair number of people here. You'll see as the dignitaries come into place just beneath our commentary position. That's where most people have been standing and sitting. Plenty of noise in the stadium, even though it's not full.
Representing Bahrain, El-Bahraoui Mana.
How many medals have Bahrain won in these championships? Manal, El-Bahraoui, World Junior Bronze. Earlier this year, she's a 55.4 400-meter runner. Looks a little bit disappointed with that. She finished in 202.69, edging Kitamura out of a podium position. It won't be long, you suspect, before she's running inside 2 minutes. Bronze today, though, for her.
Silver medal representing Kazakhstan, Mukasheva Margarita.
Margarita Mukasheva, double gold medalist in this event, 2010 and 2014. A brave, bold bid to make it a hat-trick, coming up just short. But it is another Asian Games medal. This time, it's the silver. Really gutsy run down the home straight. I enjoyed watching that race just before replacing Patrick Winston in the box.
Ladies and gentlemen, gold medal.
But the champion,
representing
winning in a season's best time of 2:01.8. Over half a second clear, Wang Chunyu. She has broken 2 minutes at her very best. The Asian champion is now the Asian Games champion. 2 big titles for Wang, and some notable scalps along the way. The Chinese have dominated so many sports. Theirs is a national anthem with which we've all become very familiar, and it's about to ring out again round the GBK Stadium. Well, El Bairawi of Bahrain absolutely devastated, it would seem, with that bronze medal. She can barely hold back the tears, the youngster on the right of picture. The desire to win burns deep in her. Other days will come. This was a great victory for Wang. Now, the pole vault, one last attempt for the champion. Can she finish with a flourish here, Martin?
Yes, well, she rather battled over the previous height, but did enough to wrap up the title. That was her third attempt at 440. Now, the significance of 460 is that that would be a game's record. 2 failures already. Can she clear it this time? Oh, indeed she does. And with some clear air to spare. Well, that wraps it up for Li Ling. It hasn't been the smoothest ride, but with the gold medal safely tucked away, she now has a games record. Tremendous performance. Well, she holds the Asian record at 4.70 meters. That's from 2 years ago. I wonder if that might be a next target, but for now at least, she has the games record there at 4.60 meters. Yes, in global terms, not the strongest event on the Asian continent. However, this woman certainly gives it a veneer of world class, and we've seen that tonight. There is the champion, and improving that games record to 4.60 meters.
Now, Kim in the javelin needs a big throw here. The two Chinese women are away and clear, and that little line tells you she's disappointed that she hasn't got closer to the two Chinese competitors, but that could well prove good enough to put Kim on the podium. Watching very carefully, waiting. 56.74. She's in the bronze medal position. So Sato finds herself, as a result of that big throw, finds herself relegated to 4th. She needs to find in excess of 56.74 to reclaim the bronze. This is her last chance. Japan's national champion. Oh, it's close, isn't it? So close, but not to be. A little respectful bow. She gave that absolutely everything, and she wasn't far away. Gold and silver appear wrapped up. That was a little bit of drama there ahead of the bronze. 56.46. She's only short by 18 centimeters. Liu Hu. She has got the silver, but she's desperate for the gold. In order to claim it, she'll need a massive throw. 66.09 is Liu Shiyeng's effort from the first round. It's another fine, fine effort, but it will not be enough for gold. Her expression tells you that. So hard to beat these Chinese athletes. Liu Hui is the third best thrower in the world this year with 67.69. 63.16, her very best effort in the last round, but it's silver today, which means, once again, it is gold to Liu Shiying. She threw it out to 66.09 for a games record in the first round and was never challenged.
So it's the final discipline on the opening day of the women's multi-event, the heptathlon. There is how things stand at the moment. Swapna Barman, despite those problems there with her eye on the neck, lower jaw, managing to go through all the pain there in the shot, and she still has a lead here of 89 points over Wang Qingling, with Purnima Hembran, the second of the Indian athletes, back in third, 123 points behind Barman. The defending champion here, Katerina Voronina, at the moment 2.507 after 3 events, 184 points off the lead. To give you some sort of idea here, converting times to points, because that's what it's all about in the 200 metres. 1/10 of a second is equal to something like 9 or 10 points. So do the sums there. Barman has something like, what, a lead of maybe a second or so on her closest pursuer.
Wang Qingling, lying second overall, just introduced to the crowd. That's Sunisa Kotsimwang, 2 times a SEA Games champion, including last year. Now to Ekaterina Voronina, the defending champion, lying fourth, around about a metre down on her best in the shot put. 25.22 her best over the 200 metres. Cameroon's had a funny old day. Last after the hurdles, a brilliant 1,000 plus points in the high jump, and back down to 8th now. And Yuki Yamasaki got a PB in the high jump. The end of a tough day for her. 24.51 her 200 PB from last year. So Yamasaki in 2, Cameroon in 3, Voronina the defending champion 4, Kotsimwang, Thailand 5, and Wang on the outside 176, the silver medalist from 4 years ago, who is 89 points behind our leader Swapna Barman. The Indian goes in the second of these heats. Long, tough day for these women. It's about to come to an end. What kind of marker can they lay down ahead of their restart tomorrow morning? Remember, this is about the points rather than the position. Kwang, you suspect, will start quickly on the outside, and she has done. And going well on the inside is Yamasaki. She's got an unusual technique. That left leg sort of flicks up, but it's effective. Yamasaki coming through, and Wang managing to maintain form. Voronina just struggling a little bit. Very close between Yamasaki and Wang. The most important thing is the time, 24.73. That will give her 912 points, so that is useful at the end of her opening day. And perhaps the bold move on the inside from Yamasaki just helped the Chinese woman maintain a momentum all the way through to the end of the race. 24.74. So 911 points. An unusual leg lift from Yamasaki on the right there. These two some way clear. Voronina was third in 25.68. That will give her something around 825 points, the defending champion. Now these two driving each other to the line. There was only 100th of a second in it. Kwang coming back through, just beating the Japanese athlete on the dip. Very interesting second day to come, but you suspect, although we did say this about Oshiro in the men's decathlon, and then he ended up winning the title again after a fantastic effort in the pole vault, Voronina has left herself a huge amount to do, lying fourth coming into this last event on the opening day. Good running from Kwang. Started this event 89 points down on Swapna Barman, the Asian champion from last year. Wang's first day finishes well. 911 points, 100th of a second between them, so Yamasaki collects 910. Voronina, 825 points. She'll need a very, very big day tomorrow. One more heat in the heptathlon to come.
Well, Voronina just slipping further and further behind Wang. And there we can see the final results in that women's javelin. Perhaps predictably a 1-2 for China, though something of a surprise as to which of the Chinese finished first. Fine performance there from Liu. Games record, gold and silver to China. And Japan finishing in third and fourth. So the second heat out on the track. Event leader there in lane 5, Swapna Barman. What a brave opening day it's been. She's had those injury problems. She somehow, despite the discomfort, forced the shot underneath the right side of her chin. And it wasn't until the last round that she lost the lead in that event, strengthening her grip on that overall lead. She has an 89-point advantage, or did have, on Wang coming into this final discipline. But according to my mathematics, she needs to run here 25.73 or better to go overnight, retaining the lead. And that may well be beyond Swapna Barman, because her lifetime best, there she is 25.81. It has been a very brave effort indeed from the 21-year-old. There is Shen Luan lying in 6th overall at the moment. She's 224 points off the lead at the moment, going into this discipline something like 100 points out of the medals. There is the athlete from Chinese Taipei, that's Chu Chia-ling, and here is Meg Hempel of Japan, who has lane 2. Tough old draw that, very tight on the bend. But there is the event leader. Keep your eyes on her performance here. And she will have a target, I would have thought, somewhere in the region of, what, about 26 seconds here. That will lose the lead, but it will remain in touch. She's got a lifetime best of 25.81. If she can do that and retain the lead and run something like 25.7, then it will end her best ever opening day in the heptathlon. And that with all the problems she's had to deal with. So Barman, there in lane 5. Already on her inside, Chen of China moving more smoothly, and also Hembran, her Indian teammate on the outside, who's doing so well in the overall standings as well. She's in 3rd place, and they're in lane 2. Meg Hempel of Japan's going to take it. Keep your eyes, though, on Barman running through strongly in the 4th place. The winning time there, 25.34. And I would reckon Barman was maybe just outside 26. So I think we can safely conclude that Wang Qingling of China will have moved into the lead. We can only confirm that once we see the times and the score at the end of 4 events. But Purnima Hembran there, 25.34. That was very strong indeed. And that will certainly move her closer and closer to her teammate there, Barman. She was only 93 points behind Barman coming into this event, so I think it's going to be fairly tight at the top. The first 3 places. Meg Hempel on the inside there. These two, let us sense there was somebody over there, but they're so far apart. It would have been very difficult for them to tell quite who it was. In fact, of course, because at the end of the day, they're competing against the clock rather than directly one another. I guess there maybe wouldn't have been that concern, but you can see there with that covering of the right side of a lower jaw, Swapna Barman showing plenty of strength in the last 50 metres. Let's see those times. They're going to be very interesting indeed. There goes Purnima Hembran. So Hembran there, 25.34, 856 points for her. Barman just outside 26. She'll be pretty happy with that. She will have lost the lead, I've got no doubt about that. There it is. Wang Qingling, 32 points now ahead of Swapna Barman. Purnima Hembran edging closer and closer. She's only 57 points behind Barman. But I guess a source of some concern will be Yamasaki there, who is breathing down the neck of the second Indian athlete there. So it really is all to play for on the second day. 3 disciplines to come in the women's multi-event, starting with the long jump in the morning, followed by the javelin, and then the punishment of 2 laps of the track in the 800 meters.
Ladies and gentlemen, the victory ceremony.
Another one of the presentations to come. The men's 800 meters. What a shock. We were all eyes on 2 men we thought would dominate. Abu Bakr Abdallah of Qatar and also Abraham Rotic of Bahrain. But what a storming finish from Manjeet Singh. Semi-finalist at the Commonwealth Games 8 years ago. He was not to be denied. The crowning moment of his career so far, the 28-year-old. Sweeping past everybody, including his very impressive compatriot, Jinson Johnson. Presentation party just being introduced to the crowd. I can assure you they are a bit more excited than they look. This was a classic 800-meter race in the sense that so much can often change in a middle distance race in the last 50. And where some start wading through treacle, others look as though they've got wings on their heels. Abu Bakr Abdallah won his heat very impressively. Really went for it today. His 21st birthday today. Not one he'll forget in a hurry. Started to suffer, but he managed to hang on. He beat Maradi by a couple of tenths of a second. The Iranian was hot on his heels, but he wasn't to be denied a moment on the podium. Not the gold, but he does feature in the history books here in 2018.
Silver medal representing India, Johansson Jinson.
What a great silver medal for Jinson Johnson. Bronze in the Asian Championships last year. We knew he was in good form this year. National record 3:37 for the 15. 1:45 national record for the 8. If you'd been asked to predict an Indian winner before the race, almost everybody would have said Johnson. He looked magnificent in the semi-finals. Great performance. The second best in Asia, but not the best from his own country today. A glorious 1-2. Almost drops his flag.
Gold medal and the Asian Games champion representing
Gold
India,
and silver
Manjeet Singh.
for India. What a moment, and what a way to do it. Manjeet Singh, second in his semi-final. He had run 1:46.24 earlier this season, but it was the acceleration and the tactical poise that he demonstrated that was so impressive. The biggest moment of his life by some margin, and it's yet another athletics track and field gold for India. They just keep on coming thick and fast, and how he will revel hearing the Indian national anthem, flanked by his teammate and friend just in front of him on the podium.
India.
not too far away from our last track event this evening. Double delight for the Indians, and Qatar on the podium. What a way to celebrate the 21st birthday. Right, this is going to be interesting. For the first time in Asian Games history, we have a mixed relay. Just looking down, we haven't had the names for too long. The Bahrainian quartet, absolutely brilliant. Khamis goes lead, Adekoya second, Nasser third, and Abbas fourth. And the most important piece of information to give you is that there are no rules as to what order the 2 men and 2 women have to go. I've just been going through it. Japan are going male, female, female, male. So too are Bahrain. Thailand are going female, male, female, male. So too are Kazakhstan. So we will see quite a bit of chopping and changing as far as the lead is concerned, because you would normally expect, of course, the male 400-metre runners to be quicker than the female. That's what gives this a little bit of added spice. And Martin, you've been watching athletics for a long time. I think this is a welcome addition to the athletics programme. The IOC have seen fit to include it in the Olympic Games in 2020. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yes, well, I was watching the swimming programme, 6 days of that before we started track and field, and they are a little more established in the women's programme. And what I can report is that the mixed freestyle relays in the pool were great fun. Now, of course, the spice is added when we don't have teams mirroring, dare I say, the gender on each individual leg. That's really where the fun comes, because that's when we get the chopping and the changing. And I guess if we look at the tactics here, if you're smart, you stick a man on the first leg, because the first relay leg is always the longest, always the slowest. You have the 2-bend stagger, the 3-bend stagger, I should say, and having run a few of those in my time, when the team captain always said, right, who's putting the hand up to run the first leg of the 4x4, you'd find people dashing around and looking to hide behind the sofa, because it was the least popular leg of all. But you need to stick a good 400-metre specialist who you know to be strong and you know who really has a big heart, because that's what you need. So I reckon if you're doing this, the way I would do it every time is man, woman, woman, man. That is the way you do it if you want to get the best out of your team. There's no doubt about that. But it'll be interesting to see quite how these teams do choose to do it. I know you've gone through each of the teams here and done your bit. There is a bit of chopping and changing. But one thing that I would say is an absolute non-negotiable is perhaps your best man on the first leg. That's what I would do every time.
Yes, I have also run a few 4x4s, not as fast as you. And the first leg is absolutely brutal. Right, India. India start off, they go men, female, female, male. China start off with female, male, female, male.
That's brave, very brave.
Indonesia. They're also mixing it up, starting with perhaps their best athlete. Kazakhstan, female, male, female, male. Litvin on anchor has had a good games. He's a quality athlete. Thailand, female, male, female, male. So looking forward to this race. This is going to be fascinating. On paper, this is an amazing quartet from Bahrain. Khamis, Adekoya, fabulous 4 hurdles winner. Nasser, 4 flat winner. Abbas. That's a brilliant quartet. Nguyen has had a good games. Female, male, female, male for Vietnam. And Japan, on the inside in lane 1, mirror Bahrain. Male, female, female, male.
Ladies and gentlemen, mixed 4x400.
Perhaps if you are looking for favourites here, Japan and Bahrain would be the ones to watch. But remember, this could at first glance appear to be misleading if you have certain nations starting with their female athletes. Oh, a little tingle of anticipation here. Here we go. The first ever mixed relay in Asian Games history. Japan, Vietnam, Bahrain, Thailand, Kazakhstan, Indonesia, China, India. A temporary hush becomes a big roar. And you can see immediately the difference between the female and the male leads. Kamis is absolutely storming down the back straight in lane 3, third from the right-hand side. The Indonesians are going well, you'd expect that. And so too on the outside, Yaya, fabulous 400-metre runner. So we're India, Indonesia, and Kamis. And what a good leg this is by Kamis on the inside. Remember, this is a really, really long stagger. These athletes are certainly, Yai on the outside is running 3 big bends. India, Bahrain, Indonesia, dead level with Japan. They are the 4 teams out front at the moment. China, Kazakhstan with a little bit of ground to make up. Now this will be fascinating as they break down the back straight. India, by the way, have Das going third leg for them. But look at this from Adekoya. This really is such a good team for Bahrain. Part of me just cannot see how they're going to be beaten. Machatira will hand on to Das. Adekoya will hand on to her compatriot Nasser. And look at the speed with which Koblov of Kazakhstan is pouring on the pace and the pressure. Bahrain, followed by India, Japan in third, but Koblov is closing quickly. A little faller there, but it's Adekoya. She needs to get out the way.
Well, it's quite clear, isn't it? The way to run this is man, female, female, man. But put that to one side. Bahrain, top of the medals table, the dominant force in track and field at these Asian Games. And this, in microcosm, is illustrating it. We're seeing the range of talents, not just in the men's team, but the women's team too. We're showing here also, I think, the breadth of talent we've got in Indian athletics at the moment. But look at Bahrain. Just sit back, take it in. This is an imperious performance.
What an exciting format this is. We've got athletes storming through the field. Abbas has a sizable lead for Bahrain. For India, Arichok Ravji, and a little bit of a mix-up at the bell. Kazakhstan have gone into third place. It'll be a battle royal for the bronze, and look at the Japanese. Yamashita storming down the back straight in third place. He's dragging the Kazakhstani Litvin with him. That could be a really good finish for the bronze medal. Kamis, Adekoya, Nasser and Abbas were, baton issues notwithstanding, never going to be denied. What a bit of fun this race has been. The first mixed relay, Bahrain deliver in style. They take the first gold, India take the silver, and look at this finish. Litvin bringing Kazakhstan home for the bronze medal, just ahead of China. Indonesia, after a brilliant opening leg from their male athlete, coming home last. It was lively, it was fun, it deserved inclusion. That is a big thumbs up for the mixed relay. We'll be seeing a lot more of them in the future. Bahrain were the favourites, and they delivered brilliantly.
Yep, the man on the last leg could basically coast through, couldn't he? He could have run that leg in 50 seconds and probably still won it. That might be a slight exaggeration, but I think you get the point. All the work was done, I mean, ironically, by the women in the middle. I mean, that is perhaps where the delight and the strength of the competition is, because we often say in relay races, you're only as good often as your weakest link. And if you've got two world-class women there running those middle legs, you stand every chance. I must say, I enjoy watching Litvin. We saw him steaming home here on the final leg, coming in there to pick up, here he is, just taking the baton now, as we see a bit of fun and games. There might be a judge there who wants to take a look at one or two things there. But Litvin, the way he finished, he must have a stride of about 3 meters or something like that. Huge man, way over 6 feet tall. Impressive striding athlete.
I think the key to that race being so absorbing is giving the nations and the athletes the choice as to which order their two men and women go in. And I totally agree with you, Martin. Surely you've got to go male, female, female, male.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only weakness of it, isn't it? Because you're absolutely right. They do have to have the choice. But I reckon the more and more they do this, the big teams will say that's the only way to do it. So some of the potential fun of it will be lost. But at the same time, the notion of having a mixed relay just makes absolute sense.
Bahrain take the inaugural title in the mixed relay. India the silver. Kazakhstan with a lightning-quick last leg from Litvin. They're the bronze medalists.
Well, she's back again, is Li Ling. It's now gone up to 471, and the significance of that is it's a third and final attempt at the Asian record. It really would be a full house if she can go clear here. Oh, and she caught it on the way up, and in all honesty, she wasn't that close, but there is a smile. In the end, she had a couple of wobbles in the middle of that competition, where it did threaten to get away from her, but in the end, she's a comfortable winner. She's collected a games record, improving that, and well, her own continental record will have to wait for another day. She hasn't been quite in that sort of form yet this year, although was always in the sort of form that would mean she should win this with some ease. So that is the final action that we wrap up here on this fourth evening, I should say. We do have some medal ceremonies to come, so don't leave us just now. Yeah, that was not close, was it? Catching the bar on the way up.
He hasn't smiled much today. He's a hard taskmaster, but he did in the end. Yet another great gold medal in the field events for China. Games record 460. We've seen a few of those in the field. Li Ling, the champion for China, going along with her two Asian Championship victories in 2013 and 2015. Twice an Asian indoor champion as well. Li Ling was not to be denied. A little bit of a wobble at 440, but she showed her class in the end. Chom Chuendi produces the first medal for Thailand in women's pole vault history in the Asian Games, and it's a second successive bronze for Lim Yoon-ji of Korea, 420.
So the medal ceremony for the women's javelin.
Ladies and
An
gentlemen,
event in which China were dominant. They've done well in the field tonight.
Javelin throw final.
Although I suppose aficionados of Chinese javelin throwing will have you know that maybe the order comes as a little bit of a surprise. Liu Shiying, the champion, and doing it with a games record, and it came right in the first round.
The medals will be presented by Bapak Anies Rashid Baswedan, PhD, as the Governor of DKI Jakarta, and accompanied by Bapak Tigor Tanjung as Honorary Life Vice President of Asian Athletics Association.
Well, there you see that winning throw coming from Liu Shiying right at the start of the competition. Wonderful effort.
Bronze medal representing Korea, Kim Gae-yong.
Well, there was a little twist at the end from Kim Gae-yong, going out to 56 meters 74 with a final throw and just pipping there Marina Saito. And that was worth a bronze medal. Just saving her best until last. Well, the silver medalist here, Liu Kuei, was below par, although she dug deep in the final round to find her best effort. 63 meters 16, but in all honesty, she never looked like troubling her teammate.
Ladies and gentlemen, gold medal and the Asian Games champion representing China, Liu Xiying.
So there she is, leading home a China 1-2. Excellent night in the field for the Chinese.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of China. Congratulations to all our medalists.
Liu Shiying was not to be denied. What a night it's been for China, by the way. Amazing performances on the track as well as in the field events. Plenty to look forward to tomorrow. We've got some field event action for the heptathlon. Wang Kuiling will lead overnight, followed by the two Indians. Barman is in second with Hembram in third. Yamasaki fourth, and the defending champion Voronina down in fifth. One last medal presentation to come, and that will wrap up our coverage here in the stadium this evening. I must say, I've really enjoyed that mixed relay. I hope it's in the athletics calendar for good now. thrills and spills, and it certainly seems as though the order that would work best. Men on lead and anchor, and the two female runners on second and third. That worked wonderfully well for Bahrain, but it does help if you've got athletes of the calibre of Adekoya and Nasser. And I wonder whether they'll start thinking about doing that for a 4x1. Now, those really would be some interesting changeovers. I don't see why not. The IOC in particular, very, very keen to further enhance the number of events and disciplines where you do have mixed teams. So let's see. Hopefully their reaction after watching the inaugural mixed relay in Tokyo will be a very positive one. And you never know. We have mixed relays coming in 2020 in the sport of triathlon as well. That's worked very well in the Commonwealth Games environment. But yes, the mixed relay, certainly as far as the commentary box here is concerned, gets a massive thumbs up. Very, very enjoyable.
Ladies and gentlemen, the victory ceremony for women's pole vault final. Please welcome the medalists.
So the last medal presentation of the evening. A fantastic performance from Li Ling. She is the Asian record holder, 470 she's vaulted indoors. Smashed the Asian Games record, 435. That was her own record from Incheon, and that equaled the mark of Gao Shuying from Busan in 2002. So a little bit of a wobbly start for the favourite, but once she overcame those few nerves and settled into the competition, she delivered exactly what we were expecting. Top class performance and another gold medal. Lim Yoon-ji takes the bronze, as she did 4 years ago. First time clearance at 4:10. And third time clearance at 4:20. Left it late, but deserves her moment on the podium once more, just as she did last year. Here's a little moment of history for Thailand athletics fans. First time they've ever had a medalist in women's pole vault. Chum Chiyundi taking the silver medal. First time clearance at 4 meters 30. She put her more decorated rival, who took the gold, under massive pressure. Third and final attempt at 4:40. Brought the woman to her left over the line, and that settled her nerves and probably enabled her to go on and create that game's record. But a fine medal for Chum Chiyundi of Thailand.
Ladies and gentlemen, gold medal with a new game record.
China are the only nation to have produced Asian Games gold medalists in women's pole vaults. And Li Ling adds her name to that rich list of history. Needed 3 attempts at 4:40 and then went on to smash the game's record with an excellent clearance at 4:60. She will be taking on the best in the world next year at the World Championships, and she'll do so as the reigning Asian Games champion. And yet again, for I think the 4th time this evening, we will be hearing the Chinese national anthem in the stadium. What a night for China. It's been incredible. Well, on a night when the Chinese have dominated, perhaps it is fitting that theirs was the last anthem ringing out around the ever-atmospheric GBK Stadium. They really have had a sensational evening. Bahrain were top of the athletics medal table coming into this evening, but victories in the men's 110 hurdles, Li Ling on the podium now, Liu Shiyang in the women's javelin, and Weng in the women's 800 meters, 4 golds. An absolutely staggering haul. China absolutely dominant tonight. Great performances as well from the Bahrainis. Kaukadin Befkadu, a brilliant piece of front running in the 5,000. They won the mixed relay, and Manjit Singh got the Indian pulses racing with a wonderful sprint finish. It has been a sensational evening here in the stadium. Let's reflect on the glory we've witnessed tonight. Well, Bahrain had the last word of the evening, but this was a night without doubt that belonged to the Chinese. You've been listening throughout today to Patrick Winterton, Martin Gillingham and myself, Rob Walker. What a cracking championship. It has been played out in front of a vociferous small crowd here in the stadium. Join us again tomorrow. We've got all sorts of drama still to come, including the men's and women's 200s. Good night.
AIS Play รวมความบันเทิงคุณภาพเปิดความสนุกทุกที่ทุกเวลา
ส่งต่อความมั่นใจสู้ไปด้วยกันนะครับ